President Obama was on Charlie Rose's program, and he's going to defund the NSA spying program. Let's listen.
So, point number one, if you're a U.S. person, then NSA is not listening to your phone calls, and it's not targeting your emails unless it's getting an individualized court order. That's the existing rule.
So, one, that doesn't really tackle the issue. They are recording who you called, how long you called, where you called from, etc. Number two, it appears based on the latest Associated Press reporting that they are recording the call, they're just not listening to it.
They're
not
banking
yet.
it. They're banking all of this data. They're basically, I think people need to conceptually see this as they're creating a library, right? They don't read every book that's in the library. They just collect them all. And they basically wait until someday that they go back and decide, I want to read that book. And so they're just collecting all this. And what's problematic, again, about this, even if we take President Obama at his word, okay, about this, and those that the NSA just, they're sitting on this information, but they're not listening to it. We don't know in 10 years what they're going to be using this for. Like, we know now that it's not just terrorism, they're also looking at hacking, cyber hacking, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know what the et cetera is. We don't know in 5 or 10 years what they're going to constitute terrorists. We just don't know. Are they going to be eco-terrorists? Are they going to be vegan terrorists? Are they going to be, people who may be protesting in front of banks?
Or Tea Party terrorists.
Or Tea Party terrorists, for that matter. We don't know, and that's a function of what future administrations are doing. But the NSA shouldn't be, as far as I know, it shouldn't even be authorized to deal with anything that's domestic whatsoever.
Yeah, that only changed after the Patriot Act. Before, they were just supposed to collect foreign intelligence. In fact, the head of the NSA now, Keith Alexander, keeps saying, oh, no, we're just trying to collect foreign intelligence. Right. My ass you are. Then why do you have my book in the library? Okay?
Right.
And if you've got everybody's book in the library, that's, even if you don't use them all, it's a great way to intimidate people who might want to put their head up.
Right, and
saying,
again,
hey,
we
you
just
might not
don't
wanna
know
do
what
that.
they're going to be using this library for in the years to come.
Yeah, whether it's today or, as Sam said, 10 years from now. Here's the president defending the program further.
Program number one, called the 2015 program. What that does is it gets data from the service providers, like a Verizon, in bulk. And basically, you have call pairs. You have my telephone number connecting with your telephone number. There are no names. There's no content in that database. All it is the number pairs, when those calls took place, how long they took place. At no point is any content revealed because there's no content in the database.
So I hear you saying I have no problem with what NSA has been doing.
Well, let me finish, because I don't. So what happens then is that the FBI, if in fact it now wants to get content, if in fact it wants to start tapping that phone, it's got to go to the FISA court with probable cause and ask for a warrant.
Yeah, by the way, looking up those phone numbers is very challenging. Like, you'd have to go to the yellow pages.
Right. You'd almost have to do a reverse phone lookup in Google. Type of thing.
Gee, that would be really difficult.
But the problem with this as well is that Section 215 is written so broadly and has been interpreted to allow for this, right? It's not, and this is what we have heard from, this is what Wyden and Udall were saying. The way that the government is interpreting what we passed under Section 215 is far broader and would be shocking to Americans. Now, we have to also remember Loretta Sanchez, Congresswoman from California, she came out and said, this is the tip of the iceberg. I mean, she sat there, I know you've seen that clip. Yeah. She was just basically like, I don't know how to articulate this in a way that doesn't have me, breaking any national security laws. But this is stunning, she said. And so,
But we got it, man. We got it. We know what it is. The Associated Press reported on it. They're recording the calls.
Right.
They're keeping the emails. They're keeping all the websites you went to. Again, imagine, I don't know about women, and I don't know what percentage, right? But is there a guy in the country that hasn't gone to a wrong website at some point, okay? And then if they've got that book in their Dewey Decimal System, and you want to do anything, you want to protest your government, they can call that book up at any time. Then they have all the, I got a probable cause on these vegans that they're going to cause
Right.
trouble. Let me get a warrant. Oh, well, you look at that. Now I have all their information, not just today, but what they did 11 years ago.
That's
okay?
right. That's right. I
They
mean,
will at some point.
And so at that point, there's nothing stopping the FBI from taking that information and just going and visiting that protester and say, you know, look, this would be problematic if people found out about this or that. I mean, that's what's...
Tea Party, let alone the progressive groups that have already been targeted throughout all these years. You know, Sam brings up the comical Bush years when they would target Quakers for being, what,
Right.
possibly violent? That's the whole
Right.
point of the Quakers
Right.
is the opposite, the vegans, et cetera, et cetera. And now, you know, look, the IRS scandal is nonsense, but is it possible that a Democratic president, more Machiavellian, might want to target the Tea Party? Of course it's possible,
Sure.
right? So if you're in the Tea Party, you should be in a rage over this program, right? The establishment doesn't have much to worry about. They're the ones already in power. But if you're not in power and you're not happy with the establishment, believe me, they got a book on you, okay? Because they have a book on all of us.
Right, indeed.
All right, one more from the president.
The whole point of my concern before I was president, because some people say, well, you know, Obama was this raving liberal before, now he's, you know, Dick Cheney. Dick
Right.
Cheney sometimes says, yeah, you know, he took it all lock, stock, and barrel. My concern has always been not that we shouldn't do intelligence gathering to prevent terrorism, but rather, are we setting up a systems of checks and balances? So on this telephone program, you've got a federal court with independent federal judges overseeing the entire program, and you've got Congress overseeing the program, not just the Intelligence Committee, not just the Judiciary Committee, but all of Congress had available to it before the last reauthorization exactly how this program works.
All right. Well, I mean, first off, kudos to Charlie Rose for really being tough in this interview.
That's how you get these interviews,
yes,
from what I understand.
understand.
That's why President Obama's been dying to come on the show, but
Right.
I don't really want to let him.
First of all, the idea that this, you know, is an independent court, there's really a tremendous opportunity for basically for judge picking here. But also remember, this is not a court where you have in our legal system we always have someone who is the plaintiff and the defendant, or we have someone who is advocating for the. This is not a court like this. This is basically a court that's issuing bench warrants essentially, but in secret, and also developing secret law. 215 does not explicitly say that the government has the right to hoover up all this information and just store it in the case they need it. It does not say that. This is an interpretation by this court where no one was arguing the other side.
Yeah.
And the idea that this has all been checks and balances of Congress, well, I mean, I think that's sort of laughable when we have Congress people coming out and going like, it's pretty stunning what they're doing.
Right. Three quick things on that. Number one, he says, we've got transparency. We got the FISA court. The FISA court is totally secret.
Right.
It's not at all transparent.
No.
Okay. Number two, the FISA court actually has an 86-page ruling against this law, but that is also secret. Okay. And thank God for Snowden, because a lot of people said, look, there's three other cases that ruled against this law as well, but they said you don't have standing. So they got overturned on appeal because nobody had standing. But now we all have standing
Right.
because now we know we're all being tapped.
Right.
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 And so
The
those three
ACLU
cases
actually filed a case on that based upon the fact that they use Verizon Business Services.
Yeah. So now those three cases come back into play, whether it's illegal and unconstitutional. And there's an 86-page ruling that Mother Jones has written about from the FISA court saying, don't do this.
Right.
Right. And so, and then finally, President Obama there basically bragging he's not quite Dick Cheney. Well, congratulations, Mr. President. That's change we can believe.